This episode of Headlock Talk is brought to you by Austin-based company Naturally Hemp's and their new line of CBD gummies. These gummies are made with 100% baked-in, pharmaceutical-grade, non-isolate-based CBD. What we're talking about here is the entourage effect. The entourage effect refers to the stronger effect you get when combining multiple cannabinoids together, as opposed to just CBD. Full-spectrum CBD, or CBD distillate, tends to be more potent and lasts longer. Unlike some other brands that use a spray-on CBD, Naturally Hemp CBD distillate is baked in, so you know you're getting the full dose with each gummy. I personally use them for all kinds of things, like sleep aid or muscle pain. And did I mention they taste great? They got 5 flavors. Strawberry, green apple, lemon lime, watermelon, and get this, the orange flavor has vitamin C in it. Ooh. So, if this sounds like something you could go for, head over to your nearest Create a Sig vape shop and pick yours up today to see for yourself the difference Naturally Hemp's gummies can make in your life.
More than 100% testicular cancer?
I just started recording.
And redo.
I meant to do that.
And that's going to need a lot of professional.
Oh, God!
That doesn't have to be the beginning.
Well, it's going to have to be the beginning now.
Why?
Because
we can cut it.
You know.
Alright, guys, I read somewhere online that vitamin B12 may be linked to testicular cancer.
That's awful.
It is awful.
And for some unbeknownst, ungodly reason, we decided to start our show with that.
Well, to be fair, I kind of surprised both of y'all by that.
Let's just let everybody know. Do your own research into this.
I don't know for sure. I just read things online.
Talk to a doctor.
Yes.
See if Red Bull is right for you.
Yeah. Yep. Side effects may or may not include testicular cancer.
You know what Red Bull doesn't have side effects for?
What's that?
This episode of Headlock Talk, ladies and gentlemen, we are back.
Oh, snap.
Oh, snap, indeed.
That might be the best intro we've ever had.
It's pretty solid. It's up there.
It's up there for something.
It's up there with that Roger Goodell one. I really.
Where you gave him the stunner?
Where Stone Cold gives him the stunner and then his head falls off.
Yeah.
Right at the Super Bowl.
Good times.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, welcome to Headlock Talk. My name is Tanner. To my left, Mixmaster Producer Extraordinaire, J-Raw.
Hey.
And to my right here, the one, the only, Mr. Stephen Grudy.
Hello, everyone.
Well, hello, Stephen.
Oh, hello.
Well, what a week it's been. We've had superstar shakeups. We've had unexpected debuts. We've had perhaps a CM Punk sighting.
Perhaps.
Yes.
Perhaps.
All the evidence points to that. Yeah.
There is solid evidence. But let's get into it, guys. So we'll kick off today's episode here with the 10 count, of course. It's 10 minutes of us bantering here. So let's talk a little bit about this superstar shakeup here.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about what came of the shakeup this year? Thoughts, feelings?
I mean, I personally, like, every year I like the shakeup a lot just because, I think it does do what it's trying to do and make both brands a little bit fresher and everything like that.
And introduce newer storylines.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely some weird stuff on here, but I mean, all in all, I think it's really great. I'm excited to see the Usos on Raw. I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
They switched the championships. The U.S. champion and Intercontinental champion. They switched those, so those are on opposite brands now, so that opens up some more storylines and stuff. So yeah, I mean, definitely some weird stuff, but all in all, I think it's cool.
Yeah? J-Raw?
Yeah, I mean, I concur. The only thing I would say is, as a traditionalist, I like Raw having the overall best talent, and in the women's division, SmackDown has the better talent.
Yeah.
So I'm not a huge fan of that, but I think in a way it spreads out and makes both shows watchable.
Yeah.
But I'm used to SmackDown being a secondary show, whereas now it's you can't tell which show is a show, which I guess. That's kind of what, Vince is shooting for.
Yeah, there. Especially with it moving to Fox, you definitely want to have a lot more parity between the two brands.
Exactly. Yeah. I was going to say, they really needed to make SmackDown look a lot stronger, and I think that they made progress towards it. I don't think necessarily all the fans are going to be super happy with absolutely everything that shaked out of here in this shakeup. But I think that SmackDown having let's go over the list real quick. So
I do just want to say real quick, I just noticed this. I am super glad that since Andrade is moving to Raw, they also switched Rey Mysterio to Raw. Yeah, because they put on fantastic matches every time they're together. And not to say that they can't have a match if one of them's on Raw and one of them's on SmackDown, but with both of them being on Raw, we're going to get that at some point. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, they had some really competitive, awesome matches with each other on SmackDown. I know that you had made note the other day. You're like, I wonder what a tag team with Rey and Andrade would look like. That would be pretty cool, especially if Andrade decided to remask himself. Maybe there should be like a hair versus mask match where there's an extra stipulation. If Rey wins the series, then maybe Andrade not only has to shave his head, but maybe he ends up tagging with Rey and puts the mask back on.
Or you do put them into a tag team with Andrade being remasked. Have a hair versus mask challenge versus the Usos. And if the Usos lose, they shave their head. If Andrade Rey Mysterio lose, they unmask themselves. Both of them have been unmasked before in their career, so it's not that big a deal, but still.
Something just came to me, guys.
Yeah. Yes.
What if down the line we get a Reigns heel turn in a Reigns versus Kofi storyline?
It's possible.
It's definitely not off the table, I would say.
We could go into SmackDown.
They introduced Roman in a very, what's the polite way to say this? Uncompelling way, I would find. So Reigns was, so SmackDown, Vince came out and was like, I'm gonna give you the biggest, most awesome SmackDown signing in the history of SmackDown.
More beef.
And we're like, yes, okay, what's this gonna be? People were like, is it Brock? Is it Roman? Is it Conor McGregor? We didn't know.
Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know if he was going to be there. Yeah. I don't know if Jesus was going to be necessarily the big signing that we were looking for. But
one of the five.
Vince goes,
one of the five.
Perhaps. He was up there in the list. But Vince goes, Vince goes, he's the brightest superstar on the roster. Elias. Oh, and he brings out Elias. Oh, and Elias comes down the ring and people were nonplussed. Thank you, J-Raw, by this announcement. And then Roman comes out and he dispatches of Elias and then he super punches Vince right in the face.
Okay.
So
sounds good to me so far.
I mean, I think it was well deserved after the whole hashtag Viking Experience thing that we saw on Raw the night before, which we will get into.
Talk about that?
We're going to get into the Viking Experience later. I think they're going to do this whole Vince Roman dynamic maybe for a while, just like they did the whole Vince versus Kofi dynamic. Yeah. Just like they did the whole Vince versus Daniel Bryan dynamic.
Just like they did the whole Vince versus Stone Cold dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it works because even in 2019, 20 plus years later, we still hate our supervisors.
Yeah, I mean, it works to varying
and
degrees.
Our boss.
You know, definitely not opposed to it. I like Vince, but I don't know. Seems like you can come up with something else after 25 years, but, okay.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I will say here, let me go over the listings real quick of who's going to Raw. So, the following superstars jumped ship from to Raw from SmackDown. So we have top of the list AJ Styles,
big.
Yeah. Miz, who got punched super hard in the head by Shane McMahon and was bleeding on the opening segment of Raw.
Oh man!
So
excellent.
Yeah.
Sometimes what did our coach say?
Sponsored
Sometimes
by
take a real punch.
Yeah, yeah. An actual a punch actually connected. Sponsored by Snickers.
You're not you when you're hungry.
You're not you. Ricochet, Aleister Black, Rowe and
Love
Hanson.
It.
Rowe and Hanson.
War Raiders.
The War Raiders.
War.
Raiders.
Yes.
Andrade, Zelina Vega, Rey Mysterio, Jimmy and Jay Uso.
That's big.
Yeah.
Big.
Naomi, EC3 is staying on Raw.
Oh, cool.
It's not like he ever left.
Oh, cool. So now we get more promos with him spraying himself with liquids and admiring himself in the mirror.
Yeah, he's like he's like Lex Luger all over again. At this point, I think. Lacey Evans, Eric Young, so they broke up Sanity.
No.
Cedric Alexander, who, in my opinion, is just as talented as Buddy Murphy, so that's a really big get for Raw. I hope that Cedric leaps off the page just as much as Mustafa Ali did, and as much as I feel like Buddy Murphy's going to as well.
Sure.
And then a big one here. This one's unannounced as of right now, but I can just about confirm it. Samoa Joe will be on Raw. They switched the Intercontinental title. We're going to get that in a second. But yeah, no, they're going to bring back Joe. The reason why he has not yet appeared is because he was, I believe, injured or ill day of Raw, and I know there was a lot of other complications going on that night because of travel issues, but he was not in attendance. But they are also aiming to bring him in as part of some kind of major angle, perhaps on a later episode of Raw. So we can just about confirm Samoa Joe will also be switching to Raw. Superstars switching from Raw to SmackDown. Roman Reigns, Intercontinental Champion Finn Balor, Elias, Bayley, Ember Moon, Kairi Sane.
Those are 3 huge acquisitions for the SmackDown Women's Division. Just those 3 names right there.
Huge.
Yeah, Bayley, Ember Moon, and Kairi Sane.
Already stacked group.
They're very, very stacked. Lars Sullivan, we thought he was going to be on Raw, and it turns out he's going to be on SmackDown. Buddy Murphy, Liv Morgan, Chad Gable. So they split up Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. Apollo Crews will be going to SmackDown. Mickey James will be going to SmackDown. And then Otis and Tucker, Heavy Machinery. So they will be on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So I think with the Fox deal, having Roman Reigns is going to really help. Having Finn Balor should really help too. I would like to see a Finn Balor and Buddy Murphy feud. I think that would be
sick.
I think that would be really dope.
Nice.
I got really excited because when Andrade came out on Raw and he had a really good match with Finn Balor, I was like, man, this would be dope. This would be the next level Raw feud that Raw's needed, and they took it away from me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like they do.
Like they do with it, most of the things that I love in my wrestling life. So, yeah, no, but I think that SmackDown looks solid enough going forward. Yeah. I like Chad Gable as a singles competitor. I think he would also have a really good feud with Finn Balor. I really still hope that they pair Kurt Angle with him, because I know Kurt still wants to be involved with the WWE now that he's retired.
Yeah.
For Raw, I think they're probably going to go with a Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman feud over the U.S. title.
Ooh, that would be nice.
That would be dope.
Aleister Black and Ricochet seem to be staying together for now.
Cool.
So that would be cool.
Yeah. And also, might I state, I think Samoa Joe working with Braun Strowman can help him develop what I think is a final piece he's missing, which is his mic work. I think Samoa Joe pairing with Strowman, if they do that, that works, that angle will help him.
With Braun Strowman's mic work?
Oh, Braun Strowman's mic work.
Yeah. No, I agree with that for sure.
No, Samoa Joe is a pro.
Samoa Joe's probably the best talker that they've got on Raw right now, now that Paul Heyman's left.
A true throwback. A true throwback. And, definitely can play all angles. He can play, but the heel to Strowman, he'll be able to get him, kind of get that added piece to him.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree with that. That looks like a strong thing going forward. I think that they'll also have Ricochet and Aleister Black probably paired off with the War Raiders.
Yeah.
Probably going forward as well. They'll probably find a way to get the tag straps off of Ryder and Hawkins sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
The War Raiders did pin Zack Ryder on Raw, so I think that that's probably going to come up sooner rather than later. On a related note, the War Raiders are probably going to drop the NXT tag titles themselves, probably in the next episode or two of NXT. They're scheduled to face the Street Profits. Street Profits are a good tag team. I think that they'll probably do very, very well themselves.
These guys are intimidating.
Yeah. I do have another note about AJ Styles here, but before we get on to that, let's move on to our next segment, you guys here. Wordplay. You guys remember this from last week, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Wordplay looks like
fun game.
So, since we brought up the Fox deal, let's have a chance of wordplay. Wordplay here is our fill-in-the-blank game. I make a statement or a phrase with a blank, and then we determine what the word should best fit. So, since we brought up SmackDown and the Fox deal, SmackDown looks blank heading into the Fox deal.
SmackDown looks money heading into the Fox deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've moved Reigns over. You've got, just looking at it, you've got, Finn Balor over. And, those are two professionals that if the casual fan does happen to be turning the channel and see those guys working, they'll definitely be intrigued.
Yeah, no, for sure. For me, SmackDown looks super solid heading into the Fox deal. I mean, we talked a little bit about it before in the last segment. The women's division looks fantastic. You have really, really good longtime workers like Bayley and Mickie James who can really hold down that division. And then you have huge stars like Ember Moon and Kairi Sane who can come out and really put some good work in as well.
The future.
And then obviously, you have the IC champion Finn Balor. We talked a little bit about Chad Gable in the past episodes. He's a really fantastic worker. So, yeah, SmackDown looks super solid.
Yep.
Heading into the Fox deal.
Yep. I agree. I think Roman Reigns being the marquee talent there, I think him switching with AJ Styles, there's a lot more work rate guys now on Raw. I think AJ fits better on Raw as of right now, and Roman being the bigger star for WWE for marketing purposes, I think that it works well with him going to SmackDown.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, I agree. I think SmackDown looks definitely solid.
Yeah.
Solid and money going into the Fox deal.
Before Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More
pow, 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 pow.
finger guns all around here. I'm going to hold my hands up. Hashtag hands up, don't shoot.
Hands up, don't shoot.
So Kevin Owens had a big part on SmackDown. Of course, he ate a bunch of pancakes and tagged with the New Day and replaced Big E. But something just seems a little bit weird to me. So
not so right.
Kevin Owens will blank turn on Kofi.
Hopefully.
Oh.
Yeah. So the only reason I say that is because I think a Kofi Kevin Owens feud would be fantastic. You got two guys that are good on the mic, good on the ring. It's going to be great. But specifically because with Kevin Owens up to his return, they tried to make him the babyface of all baby faces. Most of the promo was him with his family and everything like that. So they were really trying to hammer home the whole babyface aspect of Kevin Owens. So I think, honestly, with them hammering that so hard, I think a heel turn is incoming sooner rather than later. And with him becoming an honorary member of New Day, I mean, what better time to do it than now?
Kevin Owens will definitely turn on Kofi. But again, it's one of those things where even if you know how this movie ends, the movie's so damn good that you're going to watch it.
Yeah.
And you want to see it. And Kevin Owens, consummate pro, he's going to make that turn so glorious.
Yeah.
He's going to slam.
Maybe we'll get the severed
He's going to power
unicorn head.
bomb. He's going to power. Oh, please listen to this.
We still might get it.
Please listen
I
to
really
this
hope
podcast. But we're definitely going to get a power bomb, pop-up power bomb onto a table of pancakes.
Or stunner.
Or stunner.
We're
going to get something's happening on some pancakes.
I will say that Kevin Owens will certainly turn on Kofi Kingston.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, certainly. Hopefully.
Is this one of those good? Is this one of those good kind of mid or early season runs where we get kind of maybe 2 or 3 Owens Kofi matches for the belt?
Possibly.
I want them to make sure to build up the story enough for it, because that's the part of it that WWE seems to have a track record of being a little bit lackluster on.
Throwing out the window.
Right.
Yes.
They should make it something that I feel connected to, right? I would love to have like maybe a month or two's worth of Kevin Owens teaming with Kofi and Xavier and being a part of the New Day. Yeah. I think that'd be really wacky and ridiculous, but have him be like a hardcore devotee of the New Day and walking around with the unicorn horn and everything on his head. That would be awesome. And then the one day where Kevin Owens just snaps and pulls out that severed unicorn's head out of the box. Yeah. And then
what's in the box?
Yeah,
is it all worth it?
Yeah, dismantles Xavier and Kofi. Yeah. And then the fans just are shocked, and they just want Kofi to overcome Kevin Owens. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I would love for them to continue that feud and make it something worth meaning. Yeah, that's my thoughts on Kevin Owens and Kofi Kingston there.
Right on.
Let's talk a little bit about the man, Becky Lynch.
The man.
The champ.
Becky Two Belts.
Yep. She goes by many names. Yep. But is Becky Lynch being a dual champion? Becky Lynch being a dual champion is blank for the women's rosters.
Bad for the women's rosters.
Oh, expand.
Considering your talent is on SmackDown, and Becky Lynch, she's still on Raw, isn't she?
On Raw, I believe.
I believe they haven't really made it clear, but last that I was aware, she was SmackDown officially. Okay. She only challenged Ronda for the Raw Women's title after winning as a SmackDown.
So she didn't move over when she. Okay.
Perhaps, I don't know. That's up to whatever happens between now and then.
So that's that issue with that parity, because right now, usually the predictable thing would be if she takes both belts, she goes over to Raw, because that's supposed to be the bigger product. But I guess now it's it's a lot more parity. Either way, I feel it's bad because you're either leaving your best wrestler on the strongest roster, or your best wrestler is on the weakest roster in Raw. You know what I mean? So it's either way it's bad, because we either get super weak storylines on Raw, if Becky's not over there, or we'll get super weak or SmackDown will outshine Raw with no legitimate title fights.
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of your points. For me, I'm going to go with complicated for the women's division, specifically because if they're going to continue with this gimmick of her having both belts, it's bad. Yeah. Specifically because of what you just said, it kind of just leaves people out, whatever promo you're on. Yeah. If they are to unify this title and have Becky not be on a brand, but move back between brands, I will change change my answer to good. For the women's division. Yeah. But if they are going to continue with this of Becky 2 belts, not unifying the title, keeping both belts, then it is bad, because like you said, it just kind of leaves people out. Yeah. If she's going to be jumping between promotions, cool. Yeah. But it doesn't seem like that's what they're really trying to go for with this. So
there was something that this was something that UFC got themselves into a little bit of a pickle. Caught up in.
So many vacant belt fights. Last Saturday's vacant belt fight.
Right. Yeah. Right. So you have a lot of these like champ scenarios where it's like, wow, that's really cool. That guy's a two division champ. That's crazy, right? Yeah. But it ties up those divisions. Yeah. So that's a bit rough. I would say, actually, you know what? That's a perfect word. I love Becky Lynch, so don't get me wrong on this, folks. Yeah. I love Becky Lynch. I'm a huge fan. I've got 2 of her shirts. I've spent good money on those shirts. But Becky Lynch being a dual champ is rough for the women's rosters, because it leaves a lot of loose ends there.
Yeah, nothing to do with her.
Nothing to do with her at all. In fact, it's probably best that she is going between both brands because she is the Stone Cold Steve Austin right now. If you go to their website, the first image that pops up is Becky Lynch saying, "Be the man, sign up to our email newsletter," right? So it's like, it's good that she's able to go back and forth between those brands, but with her having the titles, I mean, you then have Lacey Evans on Raw trying to call out Becky Lynch, and then you also have I think it was Ember Moon came out on SmackDown to try and challenge, and then also Bayley tried to come out and challenge, and so it certainly complicates things for everybody all the way around. But I would say at the same time, I think that it's ultimately good for her because she comes out looking like a fighting champion.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I just thinking the rosters.
Absolutely. Well, that's what the question was what does it do for the rosters?
Right.
So, I mean, I think we'll have to wait and see. I do enjoy the story so far, though.
Yeah. It's just kind of up in the air how it's going to play out from now on.
One of the bigger pieces of news this week here, AEW have signed Dustin Rhodes. Should we use the Rhodes last name? Is he using the Rhodes last name? He's not. They're not using it.
I don't believe so. No.
So, let me reframe then. AEW signing Dustin.
Yeah.
Dustin, don't call him Rhodes, is a blank move for AEW.
This is a power move, is what this is. Huge power move. Signing Dustin Rhodes like right in the middle of him being injured and maybe possibly coming back to WWE, signing him right underneath their nose, putting him up against Cody, who has had his own what's the word I'm looking for? Disagreements with WWE over the years. This is AEW saying like, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
We just took a big piece of talent from you.
Definitely putting them on notice.
Yeah, putting them on notice, so big power move.
I want to say, I'm going to go a different angle here, because I agree it's a power move. I want to go with it's a fitting move. I mean, because how much more work does Dustin have left?
Right.
And he, just like his brother, gets to get off of the gold dust, stardust nonsense.
Yeah.
It was cool at first. I mean, gold dust too long. You know what I mean? But he gets to actually go out in his way. You know what I mean? Eventually. I mean, I don't know how much time he has left working.
That's what
but he gets to do a serious storyline.
Right.
You know what I mean? Away from gold dust, and gets to just be sort of remembered in a fitting way.
Yep.
You know what I mean? By, us fans who, grew up on him and really want to see him kind of come out in a more serious, booking of his own.
For sure.
Well, and that's exactly what they were saying in the promo video, was that this is, is this his last ride? Kind of making a knock on the Shield a little bit. Yeah. Is this, this is him going out on his own terms? These kind of dynamics here. I think ultimately, no matter what happens, AEW signing Dustin Rhodes is a smart move.
Yeah.
Because not only is it
bridging the two together, it's fitting and powerful.
Right, and it's brilliant that they signed him when they did, because he's still got enough left in the tank to where he can have good feuds, whether it's with Cody, his brother, whether it's with somebody you could even. I mean, maybe I'm reaching here, but if I fantasy book it, I'm sure I could find you a path where for one actual time in Dustin's career, he wins the big one. Right before he leaves, right before he leaves wrestling forever, he finally wins the heavyweight championship, and then he can check that last box off. Of his career. So not only that's a smart move that you can make. You can tell a really good story with this being a comeback for him. But when he actually steps out of the ring, you have someone with a vast amount of knowledge and experience who can lead a locker room, who can write, who can be a coach, who can be somebody who can be there for the talent at all times. Yeah. So I don't see Dustin going anywhere. I think this is where he's going to stay for good.
Yeah.
Family business.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about one of my favorite guys, another AEW talent here, and one of the key members of one of my favorite promotions, probably the guy on the Mount Rushmore of Progress Wrestling. Jimmy Havoc will have his last match in Progress here probably within the next month. So there's been a lot of moments for Jimmy in Progress Wrestling. I know, Steven, you're familiar with him. J-Raw, you looked him up just a little bit ago. You're getting familiar with Jimmy. Yep. So Jimmy Havoc's last match in Progress will be blank.
Let me take this one, guys. Hold on.
Okay. And bonus here, if you can predict who his last opponent will be.
Oh, take this Progress Wrestling.
Oh, he's got.
You hear that?
J-Raw's got a.
That's my money.
J-Raw's got a
that's
$5.
That's my money. He's got $5. I got some 20 years in here. That's my money.
He's got Old Abe. And
that's my money. Old Abe and some other.
I think that's Andrew Jackson
guy. But listen, this Progress will be this match will be epic, and Progress Wrestling, that was my money.
Yeah.
Where is it gonna be? I'm seeing this guy. I want to see this guy.
Yeah.
This is going to be epic.
Yeah.
I got to see it. Progress Wrestling, that's my money.
Okay.
Tell me why I need to send it.
So AEW, make sure to send J-Raw your details so he can send you your money.
There it is. Yes, my money to you. It's already yours.
Here, I'll
hit me up.
I'll send you the link to Demand Progress. Okay, you can sign up.
Yes.
It's only like $7 a month. I promise.
I think J-Raw's a Havoc fan.
I think.
Yes.
I'm gonna buy J-Raw a Havoc die shirt.
Yes.
So, does this fill in the blank have to be one word?
No, absolutely not.
Okay,
that's part of the game.
Okay, it's gonna be like a sentence.
You can do it.
Jimmy Havoc's last match in Progress will be big for Jimmy and big for Progress. Specifically because with AEW coming in with the massive amount of money they have, the massive amount of want to market and promo their wrestlers and their business and everything, it's going to be big for Jimmy because he's moving over to this big promotion, but it's also going to be big for Progress because now it's like, oh, they just signed Jimmy Havoc. I don't know this guy, but he's supposed to be a huge guy in AEW. Let me go back in the archives of Progress and kind of get to know Jimmy, you know? So it's going to be big for both of them. Just a really good acquisition from AEW, or for AEW, I should say.
And you see a guy like that on TBS?
Mm-hmm.
A casual fan sees that on TBS? Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Notice.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to go with Jimmy Havoc's last match in Progress will be violent.
I like that.
Epic violence.
Jimmy is, for me, the last king of the death matches. I've seen him do some absolutely insane things that I would never wish upon another person. So I believe that this match he'll want to go out with a real bang. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be epic. It's going to be just really hard to watch at times, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, if it's anything like some of the matches that I've seen him do, especially there was one that he had with Will Ospreay, and if you're fans of Progress, you'll know that has been the story that made Progress was Will Ospreay versus Jimmy Havoc.
Nice. Another great guy.
They settled the end of their feud in a 2 out of 3 falls death match that was about 50 minutes long. It did everything. It was the most brutal of hardcore matches that I've seen in a long time. So yes, this one will be violent. It will not be for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
No.
Any guesses as to who Jimmy Havoc's last opponent will be? I mean, I'll tell you mine. I think it would only be fitting if it was Will Ospreay.
I was just going to say
that's what I was going to ask. Is he working independently to be able to come and do a Progress match?
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure he can make a flight from Japan. I don't think it would be a problem.
Yeah.
New Japan's let him do a lot of things here. I mean, he up until last month, Will Ospreay was tag team champions in Progress with another guy, Paul Robinson. I mean, I think it would definitely be fitting if it was Will Ospreay, or you could make it be Walter.
Oh, snap.
Walter versus Jimmy Havoc in a death match.
That would be dope.
One last shot at the title for Jimmy.
Would WWE allow that?
I mean, well, Walter's Progress champion. I don't think that... Progress is like a meeting ground for a lot of these guys, because you've got Jimmy, who's like AEW, you've got Will Ospreay, who's in New Japan, you've got Walter, who's in NXT UK. You know, I mean, you've got... It's a mix-up.
WWE is just usually known for acquiring and holding down talent. So, not holding down, but... keeping them close to their chest.
Well, Triple H has a really good working relationship with the guys who run Progress, so I don't believe there would be any kind of issue with that. Okay. Especially because, I mean, Triple H's NXT UK, I mean, he's picked up a lot of guys from Progress. I'm sure he wouldn't mind being like, hey, it's okay.
The other way a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine. Walter, NXT UK champion, that'll be exciting. I think, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with him. I've got a few ideas of maybe what happens with Walter in Progress in the future. So that concludes our wordplay segment here. I want to talk about somebody who switched from SmackDown to Raw, and another guy who switched from Raw to SmackDown. So we're going to call this segment here Fantasy Book It, because we had a lot of success and a lot of great feedback about our Fantasy Warfare 2018 tournament. I'm not ready to give up on fantasy booking stuff. I don't think you are yet.
No.
You guys are? No? Okay, cool. Well, let's have some fun here. AJ Styles just moved to Raw.
Yeah.
So between now and SummerSlam, what would you do with AJ Styles?
I don't know if necessarily I'm going to kind of expand it a bit. I don't know if I necessarily... SummerSlam is the next big one. But this could be a SummerSlam. This could be a Royal Rumble. This could be a WrestleMania. But I would like to see Styles Rollins at some point.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with my booking. It doesn't even need to be an ultra long angle. I think both could work as the heel. Both could work as the face. Doesn't matter which is which. I just want to see a Styles Rollins matchup.
I think they could even both work as face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So mine.
Yeah.
Tanner, don't crucify me for this.
Yeah.
Okay. How cool would it be?
Okay.
For AJ, so a feud. Okay. AJ Styles face.
Okay.
John Cena heel.
Go on.
Okay.
Playing the character
listening.
His old character that he did at WrestleMania. I'm holding on to this. I still want to see that from John Cena, and I think AJ Styles has the mic work and the ring work to get that out of John Cena.
And this is a fantasy booking, right?
It's
so
fantasy.
We're not looking
Exactly.
at the fact that...
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So walk me through it.
Movie engagements and stuff.
Yeah, walk me through it. How do we get to AJ Styles versus John Cena at SummerSlam?
So this just popped into my head. I don't have a lot of backstory.
Okay.
It's kind of just
it's where you want it to be.
It's a want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I could see it.
I could see it, yeah.
John Cena freestyling to AJ Styles' beat. It is a hip-hop beat. Like intro beat.
Yeah.
Something like that, in battle rap fashion. I could see it.
They do have unfinished business, or at least a long history with each other. They've had some good matches.
And one thing I'll say is, to your booking point, Cena using raps as a heel would work because the man can actually rap.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between sounding like a rapper and pretending to be one and being an actual rapper. So he could actually turn a crowd with his bars.
Yeah.
So that would be nice to see. Definitely a fantasy booking there. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I've thought about this all week, and I mean, I'm not trying to copycat you here, J-Rock, but I do like the idea of Seth Rollins and AJ Styles having a match at SummerSlam. Now, I mean, you could do this whole thing where, AJ's had a lot of respect for Rollins and, blah, blah, blah. They tagged together on Raw, which is nice. Maybe they do a thing where they each have each other's backs on things here. AJ comes down to the ring whenever Seth is outnumbered, because remember, Seth no longer has Roman, and nor does he have Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
So Seth's all alone on Raw. But he and AJ have always had a respect for each other. So you do this thing here where Seth, maybe he's in trouble in some spots. AJ makes the save. AJ's in trouble in some spots. Seth makes the save. But you have a number one contenders match. You get AJ in with the pinfall. Let's just say he pins, I don't know, EC3. I don't know. Take your pick. AJ pins.
EC3 would be in that match.
Yeah. EC3 gets red hot right up till SummerSlam. No.
Yeah, totally.
No, but AJ Styles wins the number one contendership. Just build a classic feud there. Have AJ be like, look, I respect you, but I was the man on SmackDown. I'm going to take your title. Seth, is like, I'm defending champ. I'm going to take on all comers. I'm going to beat you. It would be a 30-minute epic, I hope. Probably the way that WWE would do it is they'd have Drew McIntyre win the men's Money in the Bank and then cash in and ruin the whole thing.
Yep.
So that's probably how
right.
That's probably how I'd see it. And then you'd have Seth Rollins versus AJ versus Drew McIntyre at Survivor Series or something like that.
Yeah.
That's just how I would see it.
I can see that. For Reigns.
Yeah, Roman Reigns to SmackDown. What would you guys want to do with Roman Reigns now that he's on SmackDown?
I'm going pure fantasy here. This is pure fantasy. Going Reigns and Cruz storyline. Apollo Crews, just because Roman Reigns, one of the things, this wasn't an angle. This was a real thing he talked about, just in interviews. During the booze period when he was getting booed for about, 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
For no reason. He's not in control of booking fans, but, just because of bad booking at the Royal Rumble. One of the things he talked about was he put so many guys over. His matches and his work was epic. And it was. And I think he's a perfect type to put Cruz over. I could see from a fantasy perspective him getting the Intercontinental title, and how he used to come out and offer title fights at the beginning of every match. Yeah. And Cruz comes out and beats him. I just think I don't want Apollo Crews to get lost in the sauce because his ring work is really good. Don't know too much about his mic work. It's kind of been, to me, spotty. But Roman Reigns is the kind of guy that could put him over in a match.
Elevate him. Okay.
So I'm going pure fantasy there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. That would be something interesting.
Steven?
Give me 1 second. I got something for me.
Okay, you got some ideas? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll go for Steven. You know what? With this whole Vince McMahon being Superman punched on SmackDown, I'm going to say that you take Roman Reigns, and Roman's like, yeah, I'm the big dog. SmackDown's my yard. That kind of thing. Yeah. And so, you have Roman Reigns, he's competing there, and Vince comes out and he's like, I didn't forget. I'm sorry. I didn't forget what you did to me, Roman. and Roman's like, but I'm the big dog, it's my yard. And Vince is like, I don't care about your yard.
Yeah.
This is my yard. This is my yard. I'm the big dog. And I'm going to give you something that you'll never forget. And then he sends out Lars Sullivan, and Lars Sullivan dismantles Roman Reigns. Oh. And you play this thing here where it's like, oh, well, Roman came back against Drew McIntyre. Roman's come back against Braun Strowman. Roman's come back against Brock Lesnar. Yeah, it's fine. It's great. Whatever. Roman's going to find a way. Right? Yeah. And then he loses to Lars Sullivan at SummerSlam. And then he loses again on SmackDown. And Lars Sullivan just beats the living tar out of him each and every time. You get Lars Sullivan really over.
Yeah.
And Yeah, you make Lars Sullivan into a monster.
Yeah.
And you continue to solidify Roman Reigns as a face. Which I think at this point, anything to keep, if you're going to go the face angle, and that's what the writers have been wanting to do, have been pushing, that will keep him over as a face. And again, he's one of the best at getting people over.
A good desperate baby face. Somebody who the fans can be like, oh man, like Roman got demolished.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's a good point because that's what I was trying to do with my fantasy book. It was keep him face because it's been a long road to getting him to face.
Yes.
We're here now. Let's try to hold on to it as long as possible.
Yes.
My first instinct was actually Lars Sullivan. But
I'm sorry,
no,
Steven.
you're good. But now I'm thinking it would be kind of cool to do a angle with Roman Reigns and Randy Orton. And maybe do some kind of like old school, new school thing where Roman Reigns comes in, SmackDown's my yard now. Orton comes out, he's like, SmackDown has been my yard for the past 10 years. Yep. Everything like that. And obviously have Roman Reigns be the face. Orton plays one of the best heels in the industry, in my opinion.
Yep.
So honestly, that storyline writes itself.
Yeah. I don't think I can remember a Roman Reigns Randy Orton match either.
No. That'd be a good one.
So I think that'd be really cool, and it would be it wouldn't be hard to book.
No,
let me say that.
Not at all.
I think it'd be pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I think we fantasy booked AJ Styles and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think. If we're right, we're wrong. Let's keep watching SmackDown and Raw and see what develops here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Until then, since we talked about face turns and heel turns,
You
Steven,
mean fantasy book Reigns and Orton? What you said? You said Styles and Orton or Reigns and Orton?
Styles on Raw and Reigns on SmackDown.
Okay,
right.
Okay.
Yeah. So since Steven was talking about face turns and heel turns, let's play our fun game here: face turn, heel turn. All right. So again, this is kind of like buy or sell or good cop, bad cop.
Yep.
We'll say a subject, and we can decide whether or not it's face turn worthy, where you love it, or heel turn worthy, where you hate it.
I'm ready for today.
The first one here, I think is pretty obvious. Face turn, heel turn.
Yes, it is.
The Viking Experience.
Who wants to go first?
We're all going to have the same answer.
First, who wants first deal?
All right. I'll take first dibs. The Viking Experience, probably the biggest heel turn I could possibly fit into words. Okay? Look, this is dumb. This is dumb. And if you understand the rationale as to why it was the way it was, it makes it even worse.
Yeah.
And Road Dogg gave us no explanation. By the way.
True. We got into it with Road Dogg on Twitter. Road Dogg was like, well, if you give it like a month or 3 months, they're gonna, be always known as the Viking Experience to more people than whoever knew them as the War Raiders. And it's like, that's not the point at all.
Except for the people who saw them in epic matches as War Raiders and War Chants and just all of the people who saw them fight.
The audience already knows them as the War Raiders, right? Yeah. I watched NXT this week after Raw, and there was a segment where the Street Profits came to William Regal's office. They wanted an opportunity, and then guess who walked out of William Regal's office? The War Raiders, Hanson and Rowe. And you know what they were wearing? War Raiders shirts. This was after Raw, when they were now being labeled as the Viking Experience. This makes no sense at all.
Yeah. None, Road Dogg. Okay. You're 100%. Wrong.
I mean, is there a bigger term than heel turn that I can use? Because this is dumb. There is literally not even one piece of a reason for this.
Yeah.
Like you said, people know them as War Raiders already.
Right.
Like, you can say, oh, NXT's not as big of a brand as Raw and SmackDown. That doesn't matter.
Right.
We know them as War Raiders. They've had insane matches as War Raiders.
So, let me spin it to you this way, too. If you look at the Nielsen ratings, right, the metrics for which we determine what TV viewership is.
Yeah.
Raw has about, on average, a quarter or more fewer people watching it now than there were even a year ago. Even a year ago.
Yeah.
So what this tells me, and what this should tell Road Dogg, is that your audience is getting smaller, and the only people who continue to watch your show are the ones who actually care enough about WWE to be bought into WWE Network and to watch shows like NXT and TakeOver. We already know who they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? What's even worse for me is the individual name changes.
Yeah.
Right? Like okay, cool. You called them the Viking Experience. Fine. All right, that's dumb, but fine.
Yeah.
But then you changed Rowe and Hansen to Ivar and Eric.
Hansen and Rowe already fits.
Right.
Like if you it's dumb for you to change the name, but if you're gonna change the name, the tag name to the Viking Experience, there's no reason to change their names.
No.
Right.
Like they're singles names.
You're just confusing your audience.
Exactly.
And
It's just confusing.
On the record, obviously, here I'm a heel turn. You know, we're all heel turn here. It's just one of those things where I think, I don't know if I can speak for you guys on this,
Go
but
ahead.
I think we're all in agreement here that I think the main reason this is something to be up in arms about is, you know, WWE is to me working on borrowed time here. You don't really have a chance to rebrand a group that already has great branding.
100%.
Right.
Yep.
And speaking of that, why did you print out War Raiders t-shirts and then go and change their names?
You know, one thing I'll say, and again, this is slightly off topic, but it pertains. Consistency is why AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor are nipping on the heels of WWE.
Even
they
NXT.
create a brand and they're consistent, and even NXT.
Even NXT is more consistent.
Consistency. You find something that works, you keep doing it, and it becomes great. It becomes epic. Then it becomes legendary. Macho Man Randy Savage didn't all of a sudden become shiny, glistening man. He didn't just turn into that, you know, after his battle with Hulk Hogan.
Right.
After his matches with Hulk Hogan, they didn't just come out and call him the Hair.
Right. When Authors of Pain went from NXT to Raw, they called him AOP, but they didn't rebrand Occam and Razor into Alfonso and Rodrigo.
No.
That didn't happen.
No.
You know.
No.
You know what's even crazier? About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I want to say it was probably 2 weeks ago, it was very recent, WWE on their own website had a job posting for what was called a continuity editor. Someone whose actual job was to make sure that the product had continuity in its scripting.
Talk about confusing coincidence for irony. Good Lord.
So,
good Lord.
I think I speak for all of us when we hope and pray that you change your minds.
Yes.
And that you go back on this and be like, we're not the Viking Experience, we're the War Raiders, Hansen and Rowe.
What does that say about the state of the writing team that they feel they need to hire a continuity editor?
That they're all afraid of a 70-year-old man.
Yeah.
They're all afraid of this frail old man who writes the shows.
Hire some new kid out of college.
Yeah.
To take the heat for what they should already be doing.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know, man.
Yeah.
And what's upsetting most is, like, I really wish and I really hope that maybe someday soon Shane and Steph and Triple H just tell them, hey, listen, we have to bounce back more with you on this, Vince, because the decisions you're making, the situations that you're putting the product in, they make no sense, and you're turning off viewership.
It's not. I mean, this is a potentially. It's one of those things, right? Like when you watch sports, you know, you saw LeBron James at 18, you were like Hall of Famer. You saw his first game, he puts up about 36 points.
Yeah.
You look at War Raiders, and you think Hall of Fame.
I completely agree. Yeah. 100%.
And they're going to go in as the Viking Experience.
Yeah. No, it was a huge
excellent.
it was a huge opportunity to bring in
Just
one of the most electric tag team acts on their brand at all.
Yeah.
Cool, you still have them there. Like they're still the same people. They still have the same athleticism, but
you named them after a Disney ride.
Pretty much.
You know?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
It's just you basically just said screw it and threw out all of the everything that they've done, you know?
Well, and I don't want to attribute this to Mick Foley, because I don't know if he actually said these words, but I know I saw it a lot online where it was like, well, Vince doesn't like the word war, or it's going to upset the sponsorship because you have the word war in the name. But that's not the case. Everyone who has reported this and had boots on the ground to get actual answers about why they changed the name just said Vince didn't like the name. Period.
Does Vince watch NXT?
No, he doesn't.
No.
Absolutely not.
Does he intentionally avoid his own product?
He's got too many things going on to watch extra things, right?
He needs to have someone watch NXT for him and tell him.
Well, that's
He needs to hire someone. That's what the next position WWE needs to have is NXT watcher.
that's what I feel like.
Viewer for Vince.
That's what I feel like Triple H's job, part of his job should be, is a liaison between NXT and WWE to say, hey, Vince, here's Rowan Hansen.
Yeah.
Row and Hansen.
The War
Raiders.
Yeah.
This is what they do. They're just two bad dudes who smash the crap out of people. So that's how you should book them.
Yeah.
Don't change anything about them. Just here's your guys and right with it. Don't go off and just be like, hey, I'm going to rebrand them and you're going to be the Viking Experience.
Well, it's also kind of weird because, if you take a look at the War Raiders in-ring talent and the kind of spots that they do, their big spots, are very athletic and very agile.
Huge.
And when you think of Vikings, you don't necessarily think of people who are doing somersaults and cartwheels and stuff like that. But War Raiders do that.
Yeah.
So the Viking Experience, one, bad name, but two, it's not even accurate.
He probably saw the takeover entrances that they've had recently.
He probably saw the entrance.
And was like, they've got Vikings.
They're Vikings.
They're Vikings.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
and they're getting some experience. The Viking Experience.
So we've tangented on about the Viking Experience for 10 minutes. I think we've got about as much of it out of our system as possible here.
Yeah.
So let's continue on with face turn, heel turn. I think we were all unanimous. The Viking Experience sucks.
Yep.
All heel turns.
War Raiders, fantastic.
War Raiders, great.
Yep.
Please come back.
Yes.
We need the War Raiders. Tonight, and this was just a weird decision. The Shield will have their final match on WWE Network. It actually has the same start time as the Game of Thrones final season, episode 2. So, great,
good idea.
Great decision making there, guys. The viewership for instant watching is going to be
abysmal.
But not to be on the downside here. We got to lift this show back up out of the Viking Experience.
I got some stuff here.
Face turn, heel turn. The Shield's final match on WWE Network is must watch.
Well, I'll go ahead. I'm a face turn here.
Yep, face turn.
Because what could get me to, which I've already DVR'd, not watch the episode, tonight's episode of Game of Thrones?
Right.
It would be this.
I didn't think you had time travel powers, but yeah.
Right. The Shield's final match is something that I would want to see over a live episode of Game of Thrones, which I could DVR.
Yeah.
Because these guys' work, we forget. It's easy to forget the work these guys did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, they would take, a lot of times in wrestling, to make it work, you have to think of spacing and you have to make sure that, hey, everything's in the middle of the ring. These guys would just look at the entire stadium and say, all right, what would the spacing be like over there? And I don't even know how they practiced half the things they did in ring as a group. I mean, they worked the entire stadium. They would literally go to, I remember one spot they had where Roman Reigns, they held the guy up and he jumped off the ramp. The ramp when you're coming into, your seating. Yeah. He jumped off that little tunnel area. So, it's something that I would want to see, and I definitely think it's must watch. So I'm a face turn there. Game of Thrones on inversely is about the only thing that I would, not watch this match over. Yeah. So it's a flip. But I think it's something that can compete with.
Yeah, no, for sure.
A live episode of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. No, with this one, I'm definitely going face turn on this. This definitely is a must watch. Even if you're not like a huge fan of The Shield, which I personally really like The Shield. Yeah. The Shield is one of the biggest acts coming from WWE in the past 10 years. Yeah. They are huge. Like you said, the work that these guys have put in over the years has been phenomenal. And these guys are huge. And this is going to be their last match, period. Yeah. So even if you're not the biggest fan of The Shield, this is a big moment. Yeah. This is a very big moment. So I'm going face turn, definitely a must watch. And me being a big fan of The Shield, I'm going to love it. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say even for the historical significance, this is a must-watch show. So yeah, face turn on this one here. I will not be watching it live because by the time my wife gets home, it's going to be Game of Thrones time. Oh, yeah. Right?
I am also watching Game of Thrones over this, but I will be watching it for sure.
Yeah. So it will be must-watch for sure.
I'm on the fence. I may go in between.
See what happens.
We'll have to wait and see. But I definitely think that this is a good... just a good feel-good moment. I guess, right? It's like, okay, well, if this is actually Dean Ambrose's last match with WWE, you should watch it. Yeah.
Who do they have?
And, I think this is literally probably just an hour-long special where they will have a Finn Balor match where he defends the IC title, and then a Shield match where I'm guessing they face McIntyre, Lashley, and Corbin again.
That's going to be awesome.
I would imagine that that's probably the direction that they'll go. But yeah, I mean, that is what it is. So I'm going to check it out. Probably, again, not live, but after Game of Thrones is over, I'll switch it back on. No problems. No problems. Let me see here. So, Shield final match. Oh, here's a good one. So, I think we touched on this a little bit last week. I don't know if we covered it all completely, but so Sasha Banks is kind of out in the wind right now. They kind of gave her some time off to just go and relax and, just take a break and decide whether or not she still wants to do WWE or not. Yeah. So, with that said, face turn, heel turn. Sasha Banks will return at Money in the Bank and win the women's Money in the Bank briefcase. Face turn, heel turn.
I'm a heel turn here just for, there's one of those situations where reality will set in. I think WWE, from what it looks like, it's a great company to work for. I think they're respecting her space. But it's one of those things where you've done someone wrong way too many times. It could have just been the timing of the booking. Yeah. We've chronicled and covered, nearly all of our episodes, talk about have a similar theme, poor booking by WWE. So it could be in poor timing mixed with the already poor booking. But I just think, it's for her. If I was her personally, it would be time to move on. Yeah. I honestly, want to see, this is my personal fantasy bucket, I want to see her and Cody Rhodes' wife in a feud. I want to see that. I think she'll make more money in AEW, be more appreciated, and I think that would be great work.
For sure, yeah. I'm going to go face turn on this, just because, as you said, Sasha Banks is kind of up in the air on whether she will be staying with WWE or not. However, if she does decide to stick it out for a little bit longer, this is what would need to happen to keep her happy. Not saying Sasha Banks is,
being unreasonable in any way. I totally understand her frustrations, but in the end, if she does decide to stay, this would be the perfect way to be like, hey, Sasha, you're still big. We want to show you you're big, show the fans that you're big, everything like that. This would be the way to do it. So I'll go face turn on this.
And that's Brandy Rhodes, Cody Rhodes' wife. I want to see
Brandy.
Sasha and Brandy.
She's AEW's chief brandy officer.
I see.
Yeah.
Pow, 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 pow.
Yeah, man, more gunshots.
More
now,
gunshots.
And now a drum's rolling through. Man. I'm gonna go face turn here on this as well. I feel like Vince has this mentality of like he wants the things that he can't have. So if you try and step away, he's going to try even harder to get you to come back or to get you to stay, right? Yeah. But in a fantasy booking sense here, I think it would be absolutely lovely if she was to win the Money in the Bank briefcase and then go on and face Becky Lynch at SummerSlam.
So are we saying a thing of, kind of plays out like this? They're all wrestling, and about maybe a third of the way into the match, her music plays.
No, I think that she they just do like, hey, here's 5 women for the Money in the Bank briefcase and a mystery opponent, and then Sasha Banks. She's the last one to come in. She tears down the house because that's what she does.
What
Sasha Banks.
That's because Sasha Banks, and she wins Money in the Bank, and then she turns heel and has an awesome feud with Becky Lynch over the Raw Women's Championship.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going with here if we're booking towards SummerSlam, and it's coming up faster than we know. So I think that would be really good long-term booking there. Let me see here.
One thing I'll say.
Yeah.
But if I'm her and that happens.
Yeah.
And I win, and I don't defend the title at least once, I'm going to AEW. That would be my last straw. I think the last straw has already come, but that would be my last straw. That would be my, I'm going to see if you changed. Oh, you haven't? I'm gone.
I still believe the eventuality would be that she goes to AEW because I think she has her heart set on it more now. But like I said, I think that would be a smart way for WWE to book her. I'm also turning face again because we really don't know what her contract looks like. WWE, she might be asking for her release, but WWE in no way, shape, or form has to feel obligated to release her just because she asks for it. That's what her contract is. You know, she has to adhere to that contract, or at least sit out whatever the remaining amount of time is until it is expired. AEW Double or Nothing will be on May 25th. I'm sorry, I did.
We can do this one first.
Just a cheap plug here, I guess. AEW Double or Nothing will be on May 25th.
Okay.
Before we talk about AEW, though, Johnny Gargano's feud with Undisputed Era in NXT is what NXT needed. Face turn, heel turn.
My problem with the way this is worded is that NXT doesn't need anything right now.
Okay.
So I guess I would go heel turn on this. This feud's fantastic, and they're doing great. Yeah. But I don't like the wording that this is what NXT needed, because NXT is not struggling. They are the best wrestling promotion out there right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean,
big props from Steven here to NXT.
No, I mean that's 100% true in my opinion.
Okay.
So heel turn, it's not what they needed. Face turn, this feud's great.
Yes.
So
because I'm reading it kind of how you read it, but I'm gonna go face turn, even though it's not what NXT needed. This feud is great.
Yeah.
I think it's what keeps NXT going. Why NXT is the best promotion out there.
It's definitely a smart way to go.
Right.
Coming out of NXT TakeOver, and with Tommaso Ciampa's neck injury, so it's definitely a really smart way to do it for sure.
And on that note, that's why I'm turning face here too, is because I do feel like you do need to have some kind of what's the word? Continuity.
Yeah.
To go after.
Oh, are you WWE's new continuity editor?
Continuity editor.
I mean, not saying I didn't fill out an application, but I filled out an application. So yes, I think that what you want to have is Johnny needs to continue to look strong after TakeOver, but you still have, Undisputed Era in the background. And they had a very interesting segment. They attacked Johnny on the latest episode of NXT, more specifically, Roderick Strong attacked Johnny Gargano after this latest episode of NXT, which actually set up a match for next week. So we'll get Johnny Gargano. I don't know if he's defending the title against Roderick Strong. He might be. He might be defending the title against Roderick Strong.
I don't see him defending the title. I don't know.
It's possible. Johnny's a fighting champion.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So Johnny will maybe, possibly, who knows, defend the title against Roderick Strong on next week's episode. But there's just, I don't know, there's something about Adam Cole's face when William Regal told them that it was going to be Roderick Strong facing Johnny and not Adam Cole. So, Bebe.
Yeah.
Bebe.
So, let's see what happens there. Keep your eyes peeled. There you go.
Peeled.
You got a little bit of that Naito Tranquilo eye looking. Yeah. Let's talk about AEW just real quick here. AEW Double or Nothing, I believe, is scheduled for May 25th, and you've actually got WWE Money in the Bank scheduled the week before on May 19th. I actually got the dates here mixed up. My bad, guys.
No, you didn't.
So Double or Nothing is May 25th. Money in the Bank is May 29th. Face turn, heel turn, Double or Nothing will be a better show than WWE's Money in the Bank.
Is there anything bigger than a face turn?
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at as well.
No, Double or Nothing would be. Oh my goodness! Look at that card.
Yeah.
So we've pulled up the card here. We've got Hangman Adam Page versus Pac, formerly known as Neville. We've got SoCal Uncensored, which is Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky versus Shima, and two competitors from OWE who have been unnamed so far, but we've heard a lot of hype about these OWE guys, and Shima's a legend. He trained the Young Bucks, and he was a legend in Dragon Gate, so I have no doubt that this is going to be a fantastic six-man tag match. We've got Dr. Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose versus Kylie Ray. I've heard a lot about all three of these ladies here. Britt Baker was the first official woman signed on as part of their talent roster, so there a lot of big hype for Britt Baker here. Of course, Cody versus Dustin, which should tear the house down. We've got an over-the-budget battle royal. With some guys like Ace Romero and Brian Pillman Jr. You may remember Brian Pillman. MJF, Joey Janela. A lot of these guys are going to be on there on the over the budget battle royal. A huge tag team match here. The Young Bucks will defend the AAA World Tag Team Championships, from AAA from Mexico, of course. Versus the Lucha Bros, the tag team that they took the titles off of in a last-minute matchup. So Lucha Bros, Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix, these two teams have faced each other all across America, all in Mexico. It's going to be a crazy match.
I don't even know if the question should even be, will any match of Money in the Bank be better than the first match? First match of Double or Nothing. Adam Page versus Pac, formerly Neville. Oh my goodness.
That's going to be a good match. And then let's not forget Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega in the rematch from Wrestle Kingdom 12 will be headlining the pay-per-view.
Oh my god!
So
that's just what?
Yeah, this is face turn all the way.
Yeah, I think this is unanimous.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go face turn heel, face turn here.
You don't even need to look at the cards.
If you like wrestling, or if you don't even know that you like wrestling.
Yeah.
Double or Nothing.
Yeah,
what you need
for
to
me, you don't even need to look at the card here. One of the reasons Double or Nothing will be quote unquote better
than Money in the Bank is really just what it represents.
Yep.
You know?
Change
is coming. There is a new big dog in the yard with AEW, and
and his name's Kenny Omega.
His name is Kenny Omega. Yeah. No, so even putting the cards aside and the matches aside, just look at what Double or Nothing represents. It's gonna be huge.
I think that AEW will not change the game so much, and knock down so many barriers. That it will make Money in the Bank, which will probably be a good pay-per-view.
Yeah,
it will make it seem routine.
Yep.
Which is, I think, what we're all trying to say.
Yeah.
It will make it seem routine.
And here's one thing that I think is really underrated about looking over this AEW Double or Nothing card. There's not 10 matches on it.
Yep.
I'm not going to feel exhausted by the time this is over.
No.
This is 7 really good matches that will have a lot of really good time to tell stories in the middle of the ring with. And the show's going to probably run seamlessly. It'll probably be about 3 hours long. And I'll feel pretty good about myself after watching it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I think we're unanimous here. Face turn all the way.
Yep.
AEW Double or Nothing will be a must-see show here, ladies and gentlemen. Last but not least, let's address the rumor that's been going around since late last night. There was a show last night out of WKE.
MKE.
I'm sorry, MKE. My bad, guys. Professional wrestling in, I believe that's Minnesota?
No,
Wisconsin.
Milwaukee,
Wisconsin. I'm so sorry. So there was a match that involved Ace Steel. A masked man came from backstage wearing a hoodie, wearing a mask. He also wore some sweatpants and some gray shoes with red shoelaces. So this masked wrestler came into the ring and gave a go to sleep to Ace Steel's opponent. And he rolled Ace Steel over and got the 3 count and split the heck out of there.
Just for some visuals, gentlemen, a guy that looked like he was about my size walked into a ring, lifted up a guy about twice his size, because I'm not a big guy,
just to
give you some visual context.
Just to give you some more visual context.
And go to sleep the guy.
J-Raw's probably about 6 foot, 6'1" perhaps, and probably about within around 160 pounds.
160, 165.
I would say,
the guy looked like he was about my size, picked up a wrestler and dropped him like a paperweight.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you about 3 guesses who that was.
Yeah. We
Great booking, by the way.
Yeah, great booking.
Great booking.
You can see the video, and it's
awesome
a plug here. You can see the clipping here at MKE_wrestling on Twitter. So again, that's at M as in Mary, K Kilo, E Echo _wrestling on Twitter. You can find this clip here. Now, there were some fans who did some extra digging on Twitter, and guess what?
And before the reveal, I want to say,
okay,
that's exactly what I just described is exactly what you're going to see when you watch the video. A man looked like my size walked in and dropped the guy. So when we're talking with the theme of this podcast and just overall being booking, that was ridiculous. That's all I think.
It was a guy of a certain shape and size. Now, some people, some sleuths, some detectives on
some cyber sleuths
on Reddit did some digging around, and you'll never guess what they found. They found out that a certain gentleman named a certain punk, if you will, was actually in Wisconsin at the time at or near that event, wearing the same exact hoodie that our masked assailant wore. Now, I also have a quote here from a certain punk. When asked about a possible WWE in-ring return, he said, quote, WWE? No, absolutely not. But you never know. I could pop up here and there. And let me explain that to you even better. It's not going to be televised. It's going to be me in a ninja effing outfit wrestling one of my buddies, and no one's ever going to know. It's going to be very, quote, Monty Python, end quote, so to speak. So, what we know here, Ace Steel trained CM Punk. CM Punk was in or around that event that evening, and CM Punk wore the same hoodie that same day. So, my question to you here, gentlemen, to close out face turn, heel turn, CM Punk will wrestle competitively again.
I'm face turn here.
Yeah.
And I'll carry into the bonus of which promotion.
Yeah, bonus here. Which promotion would it be for?
I think
yes.
I think the highest bidder, excluding WWE. You know, I just think it's in his blood, and he wants some creative, free. I mean, obviously, if he's getting booked like that to run out, look like a regular dude, and toss someone, he wants creative, out of the box thinking. Booking, and so and he wants something anti WWE. So I'm thinking probably AEW, or even I could see something like this in New Japan. Although he may be a little too flashy for him. I think CM Punk wants to come out and just be kind of dark.
Yeah.
Well, to that extent, though. CM Punk, with his recent MMA training, may find that the striking and more martial arts style that and heavy psychology that New Japan presents could be a great landing spot for him.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I could just see him not being interested in the bright lights. Because I'll be honest, I love that about New Japan, but them lights are bright. Boy. Them dudes come out, man. They come out in some intros.
Yeah,
Steve,
superstars.
Yeah, I'm gonna face turn on this. I think there is no possible way that CM Punk will not wrestle competitively again, whether that be in a small promotion or a big promotion. I mean, he's been out of WWE for what? How many years?
5 years.
5 years, and he's still a huge name in the industry.
Yeah.
You know, and he hasn't really even done anything. He's done some interviews. He went to MMA for a little bit, but he hasn't really done that much involving it. But he's still a huge name.
Yeah.
So I 100% see him wrestling competitively again. I would think that he would go to AEW just because his character and his wrestling style fits a little bit more with an American promotion, I think. And with AEW, they seem to be really hammering in the point of creative freedom with a lot of their talent. So, do I see him wrestling competitively again? Absolutely. Bonus question: I'm going to AEW.
Yeah, I think that this is tough. I'm going to say yes with some caveats here. I think it would have to be a very, very big event, a very big deal, and I think he would want to be well taken care of. So I'm going face turn on this here. He's just gotten out of one really big lawsuit with WWE. He's in the middle of another lawsuit with his former friend Colt Cabana right now over some legal fees that need to be paid. So the whole thing's very it's very unfortunate, really. But he is I'm not going to say he's friends with the Young Bucks and those in the Elite, but he's very I mean, he's close enough with them to where they recognize him and that they talk fairly frequently. Yeah. So I would say yes. I mean, I would say that if AEW gave him a big enough check, and if they made it look attractive enough, and they took care of him financially, I have no doubt that he would want to do this competitively again.
Yeah.
Just real quick, we're going to just talk about some matches of the week that we enjoyed. I would say, with what it's worth, the matches that we had here for Raw and for SmackDown, definitely both Finn Balor matches were great. Those are must check out matches. So on Raw, it was against Andrade. On SmackDown, it was Mustafa Ali. So,
nice.
Yeah, if you've got Hulu, you can check out both of those matches on Hulu. Again, that's Raw was Andrade versus Balor, and SmackDown was Mustafa Ali and Finn Balor. On NXT, definitely a must-see match there. Buddy Murphy faced the Velveteen Dream for the North American title. That was a really, really good match.
Oh,
I
man.
thoroughly enjoyed it. Buddy Murphy brought his A game, and Velveteen Dream, he never doesn't bring his A game.
He's always on.
He's always on.
Yeah.
So that was a really great match. A lot of people are saying 5 stars. I'm not sure, but it was fantastic nonetheless. And then yesterday, I saw an awesome match. New Japan. So if you subscribe to New Japan World, definitely check out Kota Ibushi defending the IWGP Intercontinental Championship against Zack Sabre Jr. That was a wickedly good match. The story was really quite simple. Zack Sabre Jr. is this guy who submits everybody.
Yeah.
He submits the best. He submitted Tanahashi, the ace. Would he submit Kota Ibushi as well? That was the question. So it was really great striker versus submission artist kind of dynamic. I found it to be really enjoyable.
Right on.
That one was also really up there as well. So definitely those 4 matches, guys, check those out. Again, for Hulu subscribers, you can find the Raw and SmackDown matches on Hulu. For WWE Network subscribers, you can find the NXT match with Buddy Murphy and Velveteen Dream on NXT TV this week.
I'm going to have to check that one out.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm about to put it on actually. And then for New Japan World subscribers, or if you haven't subscribed to them already and you're a big fan of wrestling, check out New Japan World. It's only about $8 a month, and you will definitely be able to find the Kota Ibushi Zack Sabre Jr. match. Quick injury report as well, guys. Daniel Bryan still out with an undisclosed injury. He's been out since WrestleMania. There's not anything that we have heard more from. Kind of worrisome, but
honestly, I think at this point, I think it's a good thing that we haven't heard anything about it.
Perhaps,
just because if it was something that's going to be really serious, and have him out for a while, I think we would have heard about it already. To be honest,
I hope so, and perhaps this as well. I mean, I'm not trying to make light of a possible serious injury, but if they're doing this for story purposes, where they can bring Daniel Bryan back to SmackDown, I mean, he's still going to be a big part of SmackDown. He's still a big name that people would know and recognize when they go to Fox. So whenever they want to bring him back, that'd be fantastic. But we definitely wish all the best for Daniel Bryan right now as he's recovering from injury.
Absolutely.
Let's wrap up with our mailbag section just real quick, guys. We got a question here from the Philly Sports Passion Podcast. I'm sorry, again, that's Philly Sports Passion Podcast. Again, that's if you find them on Twitter, that's Philly SP Podcast. They asked 2 questions today. Do you find it odd Shane McMahon is using the best in the world gimmick? It's like they're asking for CM Punk chance. Remember, Shane wasn't with the company when Punk left. Not saying Punk is coming back to WWE, but just a bit odd. I think what perhaps they're asking here, obviously, do you find it odd that Shane's being called the best in the world in light of CM Punk?
I find that odd, but it also falls under more coincidental because, as we covered, he's most likely going to AEW.
He'd be going elsewhere. At least.
He'd be going elsewhere. He's not, if he comes back at all. If anything, it could be an attempt at trolling.
I was just thinking the same word.
Trolling his gimmick to kind of, if you can't get him, bring him down, type of thing. Yeah. Maybe there's an anticipation. He could be going somewhere.
No, for me, I think this is coincidental. Honestly, I think this is just something like, hey, call him the best in the world. The crowd will hate that. I don't necessarily think there's a relation to CM Punk, just because CM Punk wouldn't go back to WWE. So I don't think that they did it specifically with CM Punk in mind at all. Personally.
Now, I was gonna say, not as obvious. It's not outside the realm of WWE's history to do this. They did something like this when Vince bought WCW. He sort of ran an angle that Shane bought it. Remember that angle?
Yep.
and he sort of took it over. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying it could be a way of trolling to cover their bases, considering obviously if we found the hype about CM Punk, then I'm sure
absolutely
they would know a lot more behind the scenes.
If they did it specifically because of CM Punk, that's as far as it would go. It would be trolling.
Trolling, that's what I mean.
I do think that it is somewhat superficial trolling because they're like, hey, CM Punk fans are really going to hate it if we start calling Shane the best in the world.
Yes.
And they chant CM Punk all the time. Let's have some fun. Yeah. Let's call him the best in the world because he won in a sham of a tournament in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. So, I could see it being this,
which is a good troll. That's a good troll.
It is good trolling by them, yes. But I don't think there's anything to CM Punk coming to WWE at all in the near future. No. Philly Sports Passion Podcast also gave us a second question here, also wrestling related, of course. How successful can AEW be? And Steven, you answered this earlier pretty much perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, for me, with AEW, sky's the limit. It's really how much time and money and booking are they willing to put into it. If this is a WWE level promotion with the pay-per-views, the weekly episodes, everything like that, it can be as big as WWE, if not bigger.
What I was going to say it can be highly successful. And what I'll say is they have a chance to get on the level of WCW.
Yeah.
And honestly, WCW, to give some perspective, WCW had the chance to topple WWE or WWF at the time, had they not given their title belt to David Arquette. That's that was
that's another story for another time.
Another story for another time.
Yeah, another story for another time, ladies and gentlemen.
The AEW has a chance to get that successful, and I look forward to them obviously not making that same vital mistake.
Yeah.
And I don't think they will, obviously, but that's what we're talking about here. Yeah. That's the calm before the storm. That's the wave we see along the horizon.
Yep. I mean, this will be a big time organization. How big it is, it's up to kind of like the both of y'all said, up to how much time and effort and organization that they put into this. They've got all the right pieces in play. They've got all the right players here. They've got guys like JR who are vastly experienced.
I am so happy about that.
Yeah.
When JR left the commentating team, I was super, super sad. And so we're going to get some wrestling commentary from him again. Yeah. I'm super excited.
Well, and then you've also got Billy Gunn backstage, who's another guy with a long-term experience. We talked about Dustin earlier, he's another guy with 30 plus years of experience.
Brings a lot.
And then you've got guys who are, well in the prime of their careers, like Cody and Kenny and the Young Bucks, the Lucha Bros. Adam Page. Yeah. Pentagon and Phoenix. I know that we keep talking about them as a tag team, but as individual wrestlers too, they're fantastic.
Absolutely.
Pentagon is, again, probably one of the most brutal guys I've ever seen step between the ropes, one of the more brutal luchadors. And then Phoenix, he's the biggest champion in Mexico right now. He's got all the gold. So it's really awesome seeing the roster, how they've built it, the partnerships that they have. Pac is there, is signed on with them. So I really look forward to how they keep building and continuing this.
Yeah.
What I can say is they will bring to the mainland the wrestling that wrestling fans have been looking for.
Yeah.
And mainstream non-wrestling fans didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
They were interested.
Yeah, for sure.
And a bit of a hot take here. I mean, a lot of, and I hate calling people out like this, but a lot of really hardcore WWE fans will be like, well, AEW is just a t-shirt company. They're not a real wrestling company until they actually have a show. And it's like, well, okay, that's fine. AEW doesn't have a TV slot just yet. Not that one's announced, but it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
They're going to become the next biggest wrestling organization next to WWE. It's just a matter of
Hands
time.
down. It's a win.
What's going to be very interesting is if you start to see a dynamic shift between all of the viewers that are that have been staying with WWE, if they shift over and start watching AEW more, if that hardcore fan base from WWE starts to erode, and they've already lost people who went away a long time ago, and those people start tuning into AEW, that could spell real big trouble for WWE.
Well, that's
100%.
That's what WCW did, right?
And I'm not.
It pulled away, average and hardcore fans.
And I don't think any of us here are pro or anti any of these companies.
No.
But, I mean, we just really enjoy wrestling.
I mean, I'm pro all companies.
Yeah. We just want really good wrestling, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be very, very interesting. And I think we're just about on the knife's edge here as to what we're going to expect from AEW.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, any final thoughts before we tip our hats for the evening?
Say, Road Dogg. Listen.
Careful.
To us.
Oh, goodness.
Good friends tell you the truth.
Yeah. True.
They're called the War Raiders.
They are.
Hanson.
Yeah.
And Rowe.
Absolutely. And I think going forward for reviews, I'm apologizing in advance. I will not be referring to them as the Viking Experience, Ivar, or Eric. I will always continue to refer to them as the War Raiders and Hanson and Rowe.
Why, Tanner?
Because the Viking Experience isn't real. It's not real.
Also, because that's their name.
It's fake. And that the War Raiders and Hanson and Rowe are their names.
And the Viking Experience is a dumb name objectively.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Gentlemen,
Yes.
any other final thoughts before we go?
I just look forward, like you said, we're on the knife's edge of AEW.
Yeah.
And I look forward to their growth and success.
It's gonna be great.
It's going to be awesome.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we bid you adieu. Again, to my left, Mixmaster Producer and Extraordinaire, J-Raw.
Yo.
And the one and only, Mr. Stephen Grudy. Again, my name's Tanner. Check us out on Twitter at Headlock Talk. Again, that's at Headlock Talk. You can find us on email for our mailbag section at headlocktalk@gmail.com. So if you want to write in for our mailbag section, just hit us up and say, hey, can you talk about this? We'd love to hear from you.
For sure.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, also to hit that subscribe button that you see right there on that screen. You're looking at it right now. I can see you. I can see you through the camera on your phone. Hit that subscribe button. We're available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube. We're getting really up there. We want to thank everybody who's followed us on Twitter this week. We reached over 550 followers on Twitter. So we want to give you guys a personal thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And a shout out. Round of applause for you guys. Round of applause. Thank you guys for everything and all your support. We love doing this for you. And again, don't forget to, like I said, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more great content. We love building and growing with you guys.
And final thought, progress.
Yeah, shout out to...
That's my money, get at me.
Shout out to Progress Wrestling. J-Raw's got your money. I'll give him your address here, guys. Thanks again. My name is Tanner. You guys have a great night.
Later, y'all.